I'm quickly learning hunting is a way of life in Montana. So I wanted to recognize that, so I invited Vivaca Crowser, Information and Education Program Manager with Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks here in Region 2. We appreciate you joining us this early in the morning. It's a big weekend coming up with just general rifle hunts opening on Saturday. So what should hunters know before they head into the field?
Sure, yeah, you got it right. I mean, it's part of our fall routine here in Montana, whether you're headed out or it's a friend or family member, it's definitely part of our way of life. So as you head out for general season this Saturday, a couple things. Probably the biggest one is just to know that no substantial changes around here this year, but check those regulations because, you know, you get in your routine of the things you remember from past seasons, but just look at the regulations for where you're headed, make sure you're not missing something. That's probably first and foremost. Then also, if you've got a new hunter that's heading out this year, make sure they have either the hunter ed requirements or they're licensed as an apprentice hunter. So that's another avenue you can take starting at age 10 to get out there. All that info is on the Fish, Wildlife, and Parks website, and we're also around at our office. It's been really busy, lots of traffic through, as you might imagine, so we're here to help you get started.
Well, you mentioned the youth hunters. So how excited are you guys for new hunters at, you know, at a younger age, or just maybe doing for a first time, or just continuing to become seasoned hunters?
Yeah, it's a big part. It's exciting. You know, every year our hunter ed classes are full of new hunters, and that's young hunters and also people that have maybe just, you know, have a friend or somebody who's gotten them excited about it later in life. So big part of it, we're here to help folks kind of get ready and get out there the first time. So again, having hunter ed is a requirement if you're born after January 1st of 1985, or you're an apprentice hunter where you can be with a mentor, someone to get you out there for a couple seasons. But it's a great part of, you know, every year is new people getting out there for the first time too.
Now, Brooke mentioned a little bit of snow coming our way. So the mild winter from last year, how's that impact with this fall season?
Yeah, so the spring surveys that our biologists fly every year for elk primarily, and then deer surveys as well, showed really good populations in most places. So it really did help our wildlife. Should be a good season. But yeah, we want to see some winter conditions during the season too, because it helps out hunter success. So it looks like it's going to be a mild start, but as we move along maybe into next week, that'll change a bit.
Now, I know one question that a lot of people bring up a lot is the chronic wasting disease. What is being done, I guess, and can hunters do anything to help too?
Yeah, absolutely. So CWD, or chronic wasting disease, has been in Montana since 2017 is when it was first detected. So it's kind of become part of things that we monitor. It shouldn't dampen your hunting season, but it is something to just be aware of. So if you harvest an animal and you want to have it tested for CWD, it's good. It's a good idea to know. You know that it's recommended that if you have an animal with CWD, you not eat the meat. So there's never been anything shown for that disease transmission, but just better safe than sorry. So that's one piece of it, but also it just helps us know where the disease is, where it isn't. So we really appreciate all those hunter samples that come in. We have check stations set up in various areas to make those samples easy. Also, our office is a spot where people can drop those samples off, or there's some great videos online. You can actually submit your own sample and all that cost is covered.
Now, as far as the game that's out there, have you seen like what the numbers as far as maybe with more elk or more deer, or like, I guess what is kind of on the forecast, I guess, going into this year?
Sure, for hunter success.
Yeah.
So in general, here in western Montana, we've got good elk populations in most places. You know, there's some exceptions to that, or there's places where access is just a little trickier. But in general, good. Same with white-tailed deer. Mule deer numbers have been steady. They're not where we want to see them in a lot of places, but there's still opportunity out there. So it's really going to come down to, are you in the right place at the right time? What does the weather look like? How able are you to kind of get out there and get off the beaten path a little bit too? That always helps.
So I'm from New England, and I know a lot of people that from like New Hampshire and stuff will make their way to Montana. I don't know if there's a way to gauge, but like each season, do you see more and more people coming out of state?
Yeah, it's a mix. You know, I mean, we do have a lot of non-resident hunters. It's a great place. You know, we're lucky when we live here to have this opportunity at our doorstep, and people know that, so they like to come and hunt here too. So it's a mix. It's definitely a popular destination for hunting.
We've covered a lot of ground. Is there anything that I wouldn't have known to ask, that's certainly on your radar or something that has you excited?
Yeah, you know, a big thing to remember is just knowing that when you're out there hunting, we have the advantage of having a lot of public lands, but then we also have private lands and we have landowners that allow permission in some cases. But just being aware of where you're headed, making sure you've asked ahead if you are heading onto those private lands. We're really, you know, wanting to do everything we can to make sure that those privileges to be on private lands where they're granted are something that we're able to continue. So just being respectful out there, no matter what land you're on.
Well, since you brought that up, and I'm not sure if this is a question you can answer, but like if a situation happens where they have killed an elk or a deer, but where it lands, is that a problem that I guess is a concern?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we really emphasize too with new hunters and in hunter education is you've got to be aware of where you're hunting, because if you do have an animal that travels from public land to private land, you've got to have permission to go retrieve it. So making sure you're smart about that in the first place, but if you do have a situation that unfolds that way, contacting the landowner first, not just going after the animal.
And then the last thing to ask, you know, I brought up the mild winter from last year, so I guess what would you like as an ideal conditions? We got a chief meteorologist here, maybe
right?
She can make a call to Mother Nature, but what would be ideal for this season?
Well, ideal really is to see that colder, snowier weather move in we've got 5 weeks to let unfold, so there's really a lot of time, but the sooner that happens, the more it usually helps success.
Well, Vivaca, we appreciate you coming here and